Thursday, December 13th, 2018, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. This morning I'd like to talk about the fraudulent nature of our banknotes that we use. Bank of England notes, Federal Reserve notes, Euro notes, all the banknotes nowadays. And that they're hiding it in plain sight, their fraudulent nature. And a lot of times it's the best way to do it, hide it in plain sight. So goes the old saying. Before that, I'd like to thank all the new subscribers, existing subscribers. I'd also like to thank all the people who contribute through Patreon, through PayPal, through cryptocurrencies. And I'd like to tell you as well that if you'd like to contribute to the channel, to help me grow the channel and make it more of a full-time thing and make more videos, you can also buy merchandise, Maneco 64 merchandise. I've got like a Maneco 64 cup, I got some Billy mugs, I've got some End of Fed t-shirts and other things. It's on teespring.com, and I've got the link below in the description as well. So, hiding in plain sight. Yes, I will talk about that in a minute after I've had a look at the markets and see what they're doing. I would say the stock market is not out of the woods yet. Yesterday, the Dow did very well early on. I think it was up almost 500 points, and it finished up about 170 or so, which in of itself looks good, but the momentum just isn't there. Before I go on to look at the prices, I just show you a chart of the Dow so you can see. It looks to me that, since October 3rd, which was the all-time high here, and it happened to be my birthday as well, we've had lower highs and lower lows. So yes, we could rally a little more towards Christmas, the old Christmas rally, but I don't think we are out of the woods, as you can see from that chart. So let's see what we're doing this morning. So spot gold still being kept. I remember a few weeks ago, spot gold was between 1220 and 1230 for a couple of weeks, and then eventually, even after dropping below 1220, it rallied very strongly through that 35-40 level. Now it seems like they're keeping it between 1240 and 1247 or thereabouts, or 1250. So unchanged, basically up slightly on the day. By the way, it's 7:45 a.m. London, just to give you the time. Silver did really well yesterday, which is very encouraging, outperforming gold. We want to see that. Spot silver right now is 1478, up another 5 cents, so it's up a third of a percent. The Dow is up another 125 this morning, 24,658. As I said, yeah, it could keep going up, but longer term, don't see much future in the stock market at the moment. It's up 0.5%. So is the S&P 2664, up 13.75 points. The Nasdaq 100 futures up 53 or 0.8% at 68.15. Currencies. The pound rallied quite a bit yesterday. On the back, about 170 pips, over 1%. Theresa May did win the confidence vote, which wasn't really surprising. Tory MPs don't have a backbone, so they voted 200 to 117 against, no confidence. So it goes to show that this government doesn't have a majority. It has to use a small Northern Irish party, DUP, to have its majority. And added to that, the MPs that are supposed to make up that majority, 117 out of those, 117 of them don't support their leader. So I still don't think we are out of the woods. A lot is going to be flowing under the bridge from now until March 29th, 2019. So look out. Euro 113.78, up 11 or 0.1%. Not much going on there at the moment. Dollar slightly stronger against the yen, 113.39. Dollar yuan down 0.12% at 6.86. WTI crude up 1/3%, 51.45. Brent 60.40, up 0.5%. 10-year yield this morning, 291. The curve, there's been a lot of talk about inversion, of course. We're flat now. 2s to 5 they're both 277. Banknotes. A few years ago, I had a discussion with a Bank of England official on Twitter, and I asked I think it was a lady, I don't remember. I asked her, why do you, and I'll show you what I mean, with a 20-pound note. It says below Bank of England, it says, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of 20 pounds. So I asked her, what do you promise to pay the bearer with? Because if I went to the chief cashier at the Bank of England and asked for what they used to pay with before World War I, if you went with one of these there, I know they didn't have a 20-pound note back then, but if you went with one of these and you said, I want to cash in this note, they would give you 20 of these gold sovereigns, which is about 1/4 of an ounce of gold. I know that originally the pound was a pound of sterling silver, and I know they changed that as well, which in of itself is not really great, but at least they used to pay you with that, right? So she said, this just means that you can come to the Bank of England, and if your note is damaged, we'll give you another note. And I said, well, why don't you write that then? Why don't you write that we promise to give you a new note if this one gets damaged? And I said, what is it backed by? If I don't get anything. And she said, well, it's backed by the national debt. So there you go. The Bank of England, they should write it really. They should actually write, I promise to indebt the bearer in perpetuity with insurmountable debts. That's what they should write. But as the old saying goes, you have to hide a crime in plain sight. That's the best way to hide things. And I mean, I would be concerned by being the chief cashier of the Bank of England for signing my name to this promise. But of course, if you were to call, or I were to call, the Serious Fraud Office in the UK and report that to them, do you think they would do anything about it? I doubt it. So this is, I think they're going to change next year. This is the old paper or cotton note. You can still read that there. I need to take my glasses off to read it easier. I have varifocals, but it's easier, to read it, for me to read without it. So I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of 20 pounds. Chief cashier, Chris Salmon. I'm not sure if he's still the chief cashier. It could be someone else. Not sure how old this note is. But then you look at the new notes that are this, plastic thing. Because the 10-pound note used to be the same size as the 20, but now they've made it even smaller. So that that promise is still there, but it's a lot smaller. Maybe people are twigging on to the plain sight thing. It's backed by insurmountable debts. We're almost up to 2 trillion pounds. 12 years ago or so, we were up to 600 billion, the national debt. So now I'll show you some other notes. I've got 25 Dutch guilders. This is before you had the euro. This is from 1989. And the thing about the National Bank of Holland, their Nederlandse bank, is that they actually didn't try to pretend that it was a promissory note. A bit like the euro nowadays. They just said 25 gulden or guilders. And there you go. There's no promise. At least they're honest about it. And so were the French. This is a banknote, Banque de France, 100 francs or 100 francs. Not sure what year this is from. Let's have a look. 1998. So just before the euro came out, a couple of years before the euro banknotes came out. They also don't give, write a promise on it. So at least they weren't trying to fool people. And then I've got an interesting one from the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation. It's a Hong Kong banknote, March 31st, 1981. I'll show it to you here. And it reads, the bearer on the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, which is HSBC nowadays, right? Promises to pay the bearer on demand at its office here, Hong Kong, $10 or the equivalent in the currency of the colony, value received, Hong Kong, 31st of March, 1981, by order of the Board of Directors. So, yeah, this banknote is from 1981. Could you actually go and redeem this for anything like precious metals? I don't think so. So that's another fraudulent note. Maybe you could, but I don't think Hong Kong was in a gold standard back in 81. What else? Well, I've got a £5 Bank of England note, and this is from 1951, and it was a lot bigger, and I bought this a couple of years ago. It's a collector's item, but yeah, as you can see, it's huge, and it has the same saying, I promise to pay the bearer on demand, sum of Bank of England. 1951, they didn't give you anything for it. When did they stop redeeming or paying the bearer on demand one of these, the sovereign? Well, that was when the war broke out in 1914. And why do I think they kept this promise? Well, because the previous time they, how can I say, they stopped the convertibility of the banknotes, the warehouse receipts, as Rothbard would say, was during the Napoleonic Wars. And that was temporary. People knew that eventually they would reinstate a redeemability of the notes because it's fraudulent. And the reason, and so lo and behold, in 1818 or thereabouts, they started redeeming, real money, or specie as they call it. And I suspect that in 1914, most people and the public believed that this was going to be temporary, like during the Napoleonic Wars, and that's why they kept that promise, and they're still keeping that promise to this day. But I would say, unless they are planning to bring a gold standard back, it looks like, in my opinion, it's a fraudulent promise. What about for our American viewers? Well, I've got two notes here. I've got an interesting one here, which is not very common. It's a $2 Federal Reserve note from 1995. $2. What does it say? This note is legal tendered for all debts, public and private. Legal tender. We've spoken about that. It's forced by law. It's not real money, right? But it is, according to them, lawful money. I would say it's not. And it's a Federal Reserve note. But it says here, the United States of America, $2. $2 of what? That's... Then it's got the founding fathers signing the Declaration of Independence there in the back. And then I've got another note from 1957. And this is not a Federal Reserve note. It's a United States of America note. And it says, this certifies that there is on deposit in the Treasury of the United States of America $1 in silver payable to the bearer on demand. So this is a legitimate note. There you go. And JFK started, how can I say, issuing those notes again. And we know what happened to him. So there you go. Put my glasses back. So there you go. If you want to hide something, it looks like the Bank of England is doing a great job because no one's asking the question about their notes. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. It helps the algorithms, the YouTube algorithms. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. And you can also follow me on Steemit, DTube, and on Twitter. I wish you all a great day. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.